At the Joye Law Firm, I do various types of cases, and one of the main types of cases I do is premises liability. And that encompasses a lot of different types of cases and a lot of different types of claims. It can happen in a commercial setting, such as a restaurant or a hotel, or at somebody's home, a residential setting. There's various sorts of premises liability cases, one of which is a foreign object on the floor or a foreign substance on the floor. And what we've handled in the past and what I've handled in the past are cases such as it might be water, it might be a spilled liquid, or it might be a box on the floor that a vendor left. When people enter stores and they're shopping and going about doing what they're supposed to do in those stores and they fall, it can be very, very hazardous and very serious injuries when they do slip and fall. Some of the most common premises liability cases that we handle involve grocery stores and hotels. In the grocery store setting, a lot of times it has to do with the foreign substance on the floor. And at the hotel, a lot of times it has to do with more of the construction defect aspect of things in terms of handrails on staircases not being in place, in terms of staircases being improperly made, and those sorts of things. When handling a premises liability case, first and foremost, it's important to get involved on the front end to preserve evidence. A lot of times in the commercial settings, such as a hotel, a restaurant, or a convenience store, they do have video surveillance cameras. And a lot of times that tells the story and it bolsters our case. So one of the first things is we get involved and we notify the potential defendant that we're representing our client and that they need to preserve evidence, not just video surveillance, but also logs in terms of how they maintain the store, personnel files regarding who they hired, and training files as well. And then in certain situations, we also hire experts. For example, if there's a building defect, we might have to get an architect involved to analyze the building codes and to see if a handrail, a staircase, or some sort of construction practice that was implemented was proper for that particular venue. They should call us right away. Again, when you get involved on the front end, the evidence preservation takes place, and then you can start helping those people in terms of giving them opinions whether they have a case, or giving them opinions as to what needs to be done to help them out and to protect their rights. And that's one of the main things in contacting us on the front end, is that one, it's a contingency fee, so there's no charge for the consultation, and the only way we're compensated is if there is a recovery. But by contacting us on the front end, we're able to analyze things, we're able to preserve evidence, and we can help our client, first and foremost, protect their rights. Regarding premises liability cases, you have to look at the industry standards that apply to hotels and homes and other commercial venues. A lot of times the industries, for a hotel for example, the industry standard will be you have to have a certain type of handrail and you have to have a certain type of surface on the floor of the pool deck or of a restaurant and other common areas of the hotel. And if those industry standards are violated and not followed, that's a situation where we can step in and assist our client in making a meaningful recovery as a result of the injuries they sustain. And also you have to look at what these businesses have in terms of in-house standards. A lot of times we call those policies and procedures. And they'll have policies and procedures in terms of all aspects of operating that business, in terms of what the floor should be made of, how high the handrails should be, how often the floor should be swept, how high you're supposed to stack goods on an upper shelf. And we'll get a hold of those policies and procedure manuals, and then we can go in, if an expert is needed, we can do coefficient of friction testing, we can take measurements, and we can determine whether they violated their own internal guidelines that we call policies and procedures.